charters, contracts and more. Call Man Benham for your free consultation on 639 350.
Man Benham, here for you.
Manx Radio Sports, brought to you by The Print Shed. Visit theprintshediom.com today to set up your personalised web shop for your sports club or business.
Friday evening, good evening. It is me, Ben Cunningham, keeping you company throughout the weekend here, covering things for sport for Rob Pritchard. Coming up this evening, it's Ecap FA Cup action in the football. Plenty of rugby to look at and hockey as well. League action resumes. And have you seen Darren Timpson and Lewin Foster play netball? Well, we'll bring you a preview of that. All to come between now and 6:30. Welcome to Friday Sport Preview. Very good evening to you. I hope you've had a great week and looking ahead to the sporting action on and off Ireland. And as always, we are going to start with football. And Tony Mepham is in the studio with me. Tony, a very good evening. First thing I have to ask, how are the postponements looking?
At the moment, Ben, we've got two. We've got the Premier League, which expected with the weather that's come down because Foxdale can't deal with that amount of rain. Not many pitches can, to be honest with you. But that's gone, so that's Foxdale Ramsey. And then at the moment, the only other one we've got is Combination 1, Braddon v Peel. And I think there's going to be a few more off, Ben, because last week there's a few clubs took a chance. And I know there's discussions going on between Castletown and Corinthians because that's down to be played at the town. But Castletown's pitch, I believe, is struggling a little bit. But Corinthians' pitch is struggling a bit. So it's just one of those. We've got to be up to 100 now, Ben, and it's just not fair. I woke up at 4 o'clock this morning and looked outside the window and it was just absolutely bucketing down. So fingers crossed. It's not nice when it's cup because we've got to try and slot them in somewhere. We're on a tight schedule for them and it does affect other fixtures, but we'll do our best for the clubs.
Absolutely. And before we look at Saturday's fixtures, we'll have a quick look at the under-18s fixtures which took place on Wednesday, and that was the FA Cup quarter-finals. We had Douglas High School Old Boys against Russian and Corinthians against Laxey. How did they go? Yeah,
well, Corinthians against Laxey, that was awarded to Corinthians because Laxey couldn't field a team. And Old Boys against Russian, when you look at the league table, Old Boys are right up near the top with plenty of points, and Russian are sort of low league and not too many points. Russian beat them 1-0. I haven't got the goal scorer's name, but that's an incredible scoreline, that one, because I think Old Boys fancied their chances to, if they dodged Donkin, to get through to the final. But the way it's ended up, it's Russian and Corinthians go through, and the next set of quarterfinals go ahead next week, and then the semis and then the final.
Brilliant stuff. Let's have a look at Saturday's action then, and we're going to look at the Ecap FA Cup first round first. And the first fixture on the list is Union Mills against Colby.
Yeah, well, this is a Premiership side against a Division 2 side. A Division 2 side that's doing really well in Division 2, and they're looking to see if they can get promoted. And everyone there is on the same wavelength. They all want to get promoted. And again, I was thinking when I was driving in, how many clubs have got really interesting fixtures in here who maybe over the last 5 or 6 years have really struggled to survive. And now here they are in the FA Cup sort of first round. And if they win these games, they're into the quarter-final. And that's what football's all about. But I think Ryan Kelly will be the more confident of the two managers because Union Mills have strung some really good performances together of late. We know who the main threats are going forward. You know, Jordan Crawley's in there. When you look at the back, it'll be Nathan Yates or, others there that really sort of turn it on. But you've got to look at Tyler Hughes down that left-hand side. He causes all sorts of problems. And I've watched Colby recently, and they're a good outfit. And the goalkeeper, I can't remember his name at the moment, but he normally plays centre-back, and he was incredible. So I'd play him in goal because he's that tall that you're going to do well to get it past him. But I think it's going to be Union Mills that will go through to the quarterfinals.
Just got a message in here from texter ending 812. Seen pictures of Peel's pitch today. Unless there's a miracle, that'll be off as well tomorrow. Nice duck pond at one end.
Yeah, to be fair, Peel's pitch is probably the best on the island. The thing is, when they're sand-based, a bit like Corinthians and Douglas Royal, the water does disperse very quickly. You know, Corinthians, if it stops sort of raining and there's a little bit of wind about, we fork the pitch and, you know, we can get the game on, and Peel will be the same. The boys, I'm sure, will be out there maybe tonight, but I think there's more rain coming in, so probably a waste of time. But just open it up, try and get rid of the rain, and Peel will want to play because that's a massive game they've got against Pulrose.
Castletown against Corinthians is next on the list.
Yeah, well, I watched Castletown, you know, about 3 weeks ago now against St George's, and I went to watch them expecting them to wipe the floor with Geordies, but it didn't happen. And then the following week they lost again, but they were back on track against Maloo, where they won 5-1. And I think Gary Sainsbury's got it back on track. It does work in with players sort of coming back, and we know Ross Crawford up front, Alex Crawley as well, are the main problems to try and deal with, because they sort of are really good, excuse me, at scoring goals, but defensively they're strong as well. But I think Corinthians, Luke Murray, I've been told, is out for the rest of the season with an ACL problem, I think, but we're waiting to get that confirmed. So there's a big loss for Corinthians, because to me Luke was looking one of the players that could have won Player of the Year this year, but that's not going to happen now. But you know, Corinthians, Sean Doyle up front, you've got sort of defensively Stewie Smith, you've got Darren Kane, lots of experience in there, and I think Corinthians will just be a bit too strong.
Looking at the next one, it's St Mary's against Douglas Royal. This is a 1:45 kick-off, though. Yeah,
it is. It's at the Bowl because FC Isle of Man are at home. So we bring that just forward a little bit to give the club some chance. Hopefully this doesn't go to extra time, but I don't think it will, and I'm not being disrespectful to Douglas Royal. I watched them last week, the first time I've watched a full game this season. I've watched a couple of half games when I've been up Bala Fletcher. They were impressive. So if St Mary's go into this a little bit too confident, I can see St Mary's sort of slipping up, because certainly down that left-hand side, I think it was Langton, he was a handful to deal with. And when you look at sort of other players in there, Harley Bonus at right back, I thought played really well. And the goalkeeper was superb. And I just thought that Douglas Royal have moved on. Jordan Cowan will always score goals in front. And if Douglas Royal can play at their best, the goalkeeper can play like he did last week, and the defence can keep it solid, then I can see they could cause St Mary's problems. But I think St Mary's have still got enough in there. If Jack McVeigh plays, if Frank Jones plays, you've got other players in there who could score plenty of goals. I just think St Mary's will be too strong.
Laxey against Braddon.
Well, this one here, I have to say that with that hill on the side where their steps are, the amount of water that comes down there, it's like a water fountain. And, you know, I'm sure the club have got in hand what to do with that, because let's face it, Ben, last year in November, end of November, I had 2 games to rearrange. Here we are in the second or first week of February, and I've probably got 100. So it just shows you what a problem we've got. So, you know, fingers crossed for Laxey on this one, but Braddon fancy their chances, and I think Johnny Palmer's done a really good job of late to get the Laxey wheel rolling again, because they sort of slipped off, and I think Johnny's team, Laxey, will win.
Peel against Pulrose next, and by looking at the message we had here, it might be a miracle if it happens tomorrow.
Well, they can have a boating race or a swimming race or whatever if they want to. We're happy as long as the score stands and we get a result, we're happy. But no. I think Peel will get theirs on. I think the amount of ground staff they've got there and just the commitment from the ground staff will sort that out. But it just depends what comes tonight. But Pulrose, when the draw was made, I just said to Pulrose, a couple of committee members, what do you think of that? He said, we're chuffing at the bit. We want to play them. We think we can beat them. And, you know, by all means, have a go. I think it's going to be a bit tougher than that. But I think they're meeting Peel at quite a nice time, because Peel haven't sort of set the world alight. I know Thomas Brown has been struggling with an injury a little bit. Whether Thomas plays, if he does, then that could be a big difference. But at the moment, I think Peel are under a slight bit of pressure. Peter Kenyock will know that. But I think Peel are strong enough to win.
Yeah, looking at the weather there, you keep alluding to it, Tony. It's going to remain cloudy, further outbreaks of rain this evening, much of the night before clearing by the end of the night. Fresh to strong easterly winds, easing to become moderate to fresh by the end of the night. Minimum temperature of 5 degrees, so the wind's there, but still a lot of rain coming.
Yeah, we need no rain. and lots of wind, to get rid of it. So, yeah, we're expecting, quite a few off tomorrow. So all I can say is to officials out there is, the ones where already the games have been cancelled, make yourself available, because it'd be great to have linesmen on the FA Cup first round games. And, just hopefully they'll switch over and take that post up.
Marown against Russians next. This one's getting played though at Russian.
Yeah, and fair play to Marown, fair play to Russian as well, because Marown wanted to sort of rest their pitch, and what they said was, we're happy enough to give up home advantage and play at Russian. So that's what they've done. Russian will be happy enough with that. But, Marown, I watched them recently twice. I watched them against Colby, where they got beat 3-0, and they weren't right, but I think David Brew will be, trying to get things right. But Russian have had a tricky time. They've had a couple of defeats in there, but, Andrew Moody's team there are littered with really good players, and I think it's just that transition, Ben, from the older players going out. There's still, I noticed Aaron Hall, he bagged 4 goals in one game. He's over 35 anyway. And then he's been missing for 2 or 3 games. I don't know if he's been away, but if he's playing, that makes a big difference for them, and Russian to go through.
And the next one on the list is Douglas High School and Old Boys against Onken.
Yeah, they're next to each other, as in, Onken's training pitches are above Old Boys, and they're a very friendly 2 sets of clubs. They work well together, which is what we like in football. Onken, I think, have been the team of the year so far, Ben. I think they've done a really good job. They were so close to getting into the Railway Cup semi-finals. They've competed with quality football, because I've watched it, and they could have quite easily, I keep referring back to it, but I was just gobsmacked how good they were when I watched them play against Corinthians at Ballafletcher, and they should have been 3-0 up at half-time, and it just didn't go for them, and then in the second half they conceded the goals. But I think James O'Kelly's there has done a great job. They're a happy camp. We know they've got a forward line that you'd love to play for a top Premiership side, and I think Onken are getting like that now. They're in that top 4, top 6 bracket, so congratulations to them. But Old Boys slipped up recently against Braddon, and that's probably may cost them to stay in the Premier League. But I know this is a cup game, but I think Old Boys would like a run and keep the boys busy, but I think Onken will win.
And then the final fixture is Ramsey Youth Centre and Old Boys against St John's.
Yeah, well, St John's, I think, are pretty well full fit from what I'm hearing. And, again, their forward line is strong. Rhys Oates has started scoring more goals, which has helped his confidence, because Rhys is a really good player. He's had one horrific injury, and then had an operation, and then he had a problem with it. But it's looking good now. He's coming back to his old form. When you look at, Callum Taggart there, Callum's a pain. He's just so strong and so direct. And then if Dean Elise plays, he just adds pace. But, the unsung hero, I think, at St John's is Joey Savage. I love watching him play. He really gets stuck in. He's only a small, slight player. But if you're 6'5", he's coming in at you, no problem to win that ball. And I just think with Ramsey Youth Centre, they'll see the gulf possibly between the Premier League and Division 2, even though they're champing at the top of Division 2. I just think it's a big game for them. It is at Ramsey Youth Centre, so it's a tighter pitch, but I'll go for St John's.
And then just before we move on, of course, this is the first round cups round of the draw. So are we going to be having a draw tomorrow evening on full time?
We certainly are. Carl Conroy will come up. I think he's going to be live. We're not doing it from London like we've done previously. But yeah, Carl will be up tomorrow to do the draw for the quarterfinals.
Okay, so if you want to find out the draw, that will be on full time with myself between 5 and 6. Of course, we just said about the Candlelife Men's Premier League game between Foxdale and Ramsey. That is off because Foxdale's pitch is not playable. So we go to Arden and Druggan Division 2, Governors Athletic against Douglas and District. These two teams at the bottom of the league. I don't mean that with sort of knocking them down, but it's, someone has to be in that position. And, Governors Athletic have improved so much as a team, as a club. They really have, and they've got some really good players in there, Governors Athletic. I think Douglas and District have just fell foul a little bit of, some important players have left them at the start of the season, but there's nothing you can do. I think it'll be Governors to win this one. I think it's at Colby because they're supposed to be playing there. There seems to be quite a few games at Colby. But Governors Athletic, I think physically will be too strong for D&D. Canada Life Combination 1. Let's have a look at these fixtures. Braddon against Peel first.
That's the one that's been postponed.
Yep.
Braddon postponed this afternoon.
Okay, so next one is Onken against Corinthians.
Always a good battle between these two, and Onken at the moment have the bragging rights to winning against the league leaders because they battered them, I think it was 5-0. So great performance by that one. I don't see that coming tomorrow afternoon, but I'll probably be proved wrong by Onken. But I'm going to go for Corinthians. It was quite interesting. I read out a comment, I think it was last week with you, from Caleb Raby, is just how good Corinthians young lads played, and there's some talent in there. You know, when you look at Caleb Hugill, and you've also got the one that's standing out is actually about 37, and that's Kane Riding. He's still as quick as ever. He's super fit. And when you look at sort of other players around there, it's really strong. I'm going to go for Corinthians to win.
St John's against Russian.
Yeah, I think Russian will win this one. They're back on track. They've dropped a few points. They can't afford to drop any more if they're going to challenge Corinthians and Peel. I think Peel are the team to look out for. And also Ramsey, we can't forget about them. So I'll go with Russian. And
then Ramsey, who you've just alluded to, they're at home to Union Mills.
I think it just shows at the moment Union Mills' numbers are down, because last week Union Mills couldn't field a team. It's just it happens. People go away and everything, and there's nothing you can do about it because there's plenty of numbers there. But Ramsey, I'm going to go for Ramsey to win it. They're a very, very strong team.
And then final fixture in Canada Life Combination 1 is Ayr United against Douglas High School and Old Boys.
Yeah, and the way I see this one is Ayr United again struggled last week to field a team. But Douglas High School Old Boys, when you look at their first team in Division 2, they're sort of, not Division 2, Premier League, they're struggling a little bit. But when you look at Old Boys combination, they're doing quite well. They're scoring plenty of goals. And I just wonder if there's maybe one or two younger players there in that combination who maybe just want a chance, to prove themselves in that first team. But that's up to Robbie Ward, the manager, to sort that one out. But Old Boys will win that one. I think Ayr won't be strong enough.
Yeah, you were just alluding there to Ayr in the combination. They currently sit in 10th position in Combination 1. So, yeah, I mean, I would say it's still early days, but still a lot of fixtures still to go. Like you say, there's plenty of rearranged fixtures, which are causing you a headache to sort out.
Yeah, I think the problem is with Ayr is that they've lost 2 or 3 players to FC Isle of Man, which is not sort of helped them. And, it just depends if they have those sort of players back in at the first team, because if they haven't got them, then they're sort of tapping into the combination and bringing them out. So it's just one of those. But, I'm sure Ayr will have a team out tomorrow if the pitch is fit. And Douglas High School Old Boys must start off as favourites.
Arden and Druggen Combination 2, a team that really has grown in form. St George's, they're at home to Castletown.
Yeah, this is the combination league, so Geordie's first team have gone well. The combination are sort of hanging in there, but against Castletown, I would say that probably Castletown slight favourites to win this one. I think St George's, that pitch, Glencountry Road, if the game goes ahead, that will be soft. There's no doubt about it, because again the water comes off the bank down, and that top line really struggles. So I'll go with Town if that game's on.
Douglas Athletic against Douglas Royal.
That must be in doubt as well, but you've got to go with Douglas Athletic. They're flying in that league. They're competing up the top there with Paul Rose, Ramsey Youth Centre up there competing well. I'll go for Athletic to beat Douglas Royal.
Maloo against Ramsey Youth Centre and Old Boys.
Going to go for Ramsey Youth Centre and Old Boys because Maloo had a really good result recently. It was a lot of, well, not a lot. There was a few first team players in that team that were available, and it works out like that sometimes. But against Ramsey Youth Centre and Old Boys, I've said it many times, for whatever reason, Ramsey Youth Centre and Old Boys seem to be able to pump out a good combination team, and it's made up of, really talented young players, and you just hope that they'll filter into the first team.
And Paul Rose, the league leaders, they're at home to Michael.
Yeah, Paul Rose, you've got to go as them to win this one. They lost recently against Douglas Athletic. Again, depends what sort of players Michael have got available. But Michael are still fulfilling the fixtures, and we hope that, allowing them just one team will help the club. And we'll maybe touch on that when we finished this preview here, the games of just where some clubs are, how they rebuilt, and how strong they are now. It's unbelievable. But I'm going to go for Paul Rose to win.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the league table in Combination 2, You've got Ramsey Youth Centre and All Boys played 15, won 13, drawn 1, lost 1. And then Paul Rose played 16, won 15, drawn none, and lost 1. So it's quite close up the top.
It is quite close. And I think Douglas Athletic, they're strong. Yes, they're full of vets players, but they're capable of beating anyone in that league. So it's how you perform against them. And that one defeat, as you've just pointed out, was the game against Paul Rose. So that's the one to look out for. But I still feel like Douglas Athletic are just off the top a little bit, and it is between Pulley and Ramsey Youth Centre.
And then the final fixture is Marown against Colby.
Yeah, and this one here, this has been moved to Colby, so there's your second game down there. And Marown have just rested their pitch because I watched a game there a couple of weeks ago, cut up a little bit, and there's just no point in taking a chance, so that's why they've moved it to Colby.
Okay, so that's the conclusion of the men's fixtures. We will look at the ladies' Candlelight Women's Floodlit Cup final just in a minute, but just going back to what you said there, a couple of clubs have really stood out to you and got in their progress in revamping and getting themselves back into things.
Well, exactly. When you look at the Premier League, I haven't got the league tables in front of me, Ben, but when I look at the Premier League, you've got sort of St Mary's, who it was only a few years back, took a year out from both teams and have come back with competitive teams. They won Division 2 that year, I'm sure, and they won the Combi 2. Incredible rebuild, and look where they are now. When I look at Colby sort of dipped out and went down to one team. You look at Castletown, you look at sort of Pulrose, you look at Braddon. There's a lot of clubs who just sort of have a little look, and instead of just throwing the towel in and going, this is a real struggle, is, push your club. The FA can help you as much as it can, but we can't drag the players to the games. And I just look at those clubs should be sort of have a big pat on the back, because it's quite easy to throw the towel in, and there's always key people there who keep it going. When you look at St Mary's, Anthony Dooley, and credit to them. I was talking about it recently and just thought to myself, there's some really good stories there for clubs who have sort of got it together, and now they're building on it and playing ever so well and climbing up the leagues. It's great.
We mustn't forget, of course, the Masters football on Sunday. That's Laxey against Douglas and District, and Peel against Ayr. Those are the fixtures in the Masters football. But the fixture we really want to look at on Sunday is the Canada Life Women's Floodlit Cup final, and it's Peel against Douglas and Royal. I
think Peel have to be outright favourites, and that's not being disrespectful to Douglas Royal. There's two top sides in Peel and Corinthians. Peel have demolished Corinthians twice, 4-1, 3-0, so it shows you how strong they are. When you look at Peel's team, like Island player like Louise Gibbons, you've got Maxine Jones, Tia Lisi's so strong at the back. And then when you look at Eve McGowan, who went to the competition last year, the Cherry Godfrey, and you just thought in a couple of years' time she's going to be an excellent player, because I think she was only 16. Phoebe Monroe as well is a really good player. The one that's standing out at the moment for Peel is Pippa Wallace scoring goals. And then when you throw in a return of Sarah Wignall, you've got Becky Cole in there, who's been sub. I think she's been struggling with maybe a bit of an injury. You've got Becky Corkish going in there, and Kaylee McGregor, what a goalkeeper she is. Then it just looks such a difficult job for Douglas Royal to get something out of it. But it is 11 against 11, and I'm sure... I call him Bobo. John Bonus will sort it out. He's the manager of Douglas Royal. But again, Kaylee Judge's a really good player for there. Zoe Hawley as well. Caitlin Smith, 4 goals in the last game. Absolutely fantastic. So good luck to Royal, but it's going to be a tough game. Absolutely. Tony, before you've got 10 seconds, where are you heading to tomorrow? I'm going to Peel, hopefully, against Pulrose. So, Tony, you're going to head off to Peel. Tony, as always, thank you very much. We'll speak to you tomorrow night on Full Time and Classified. Coming up after the 6 o'clock news, we'll talk rugby and hockey. All to come after the break.
Manx Radio Sports, brought to you by The Print Shed. Visit theprintshediom.com today to set up your personalised web shop for your sports club or business.
Welcome back to Friday Sport Preview. It's Ben Cunningham keeping you company this weekend with everything to do with sport. Now, in case you missed it on Monday's breakfast show with Ben Hartley, Darren Timpson and Lewis Foster attended the netball training session last week. Whilst historically the sport has been known to be a women's sport, on the island the sport is growing in popularity with men and boys too. So much so, the Isle of Man Netball Association have launched a new mixed performance league. Darren Timpson and Lewis Foster met the men's players James Arnold and Johnny Hayes, Manx Rams Rhiannon Evans, who some of you probably will know off Manx Radio, and Ashley Hall, and Development Officer and League Director Lucy Radcliffe and Florence Kemp.
So the Performance League is taking place on Saturday nights up at the Roundhouse. Last night was the first one, so it's kind of everyone kind of feeling their way into it. Really enjoyed it though, it was competitive, wasn't it? And I think everyone had a good time. It was a good watch as well, stayed down for the second game after we played.
It's obviously great to have the women down, especially the really good women down, who are just show you what you can do on a netball court.
But what do some of the Manx Rams think of men playing netball?
I think it's really good because we've brought the men into netball and we've played against them at training sessions, but it's really good to make it a bit more competitive where it means something, and to have that practice against men who have got a bigger jump, a bigger wingspan. So it's more like our international games.
Yeah, absolutely. We have to, I think with the Sunday League, we're playing the same people week in, week out for years, but then you add the men into the mix and you have to adapt your game for like the first time in quite a long time. And I think the men just bring a really nice vibe as well. It just makes it really fun.
Now it was time to talk to two of the people behind the scenes about the challenges faced with getting men into the sport.
It can be quite difficult starting to get more men involved, obviously because around kind of the stigma around men's netball. So that's a really important barrier that we are starting to look at facing, but just starting from kind of the ground up. Getting people involved nice and young, so we've got some now younger sessions, especially in the east now, that we can start kind of going from Manx Youth Games straight into club and then hopefully just progressing from there.
And we now have leagues for under 11s, under 16s, under 13s,
under 13s,
as well. And then once they're 14 or over, they are allowed to play in the senior leagues if they are ready to. If they're not ready to, then they stay in the junior leagues, and everybody's encouraged to play and get on court and just enjoy it. Primarily it's about having fun.
Manx Radio Sports, brought to you by the Print Shed.
Darren and Lewis speaking to members of Isle of Man Netball there. And if you haven't watched the YouTube video, which is on Manx Radio Sports website, please go and have a watch of it because it is absolutely fantastic. And it does go down to a shootout between Darren and Lewis to find out who was the best netball player. But I'm not going to reveal it for you to find out. You need to go to Manx Radio Sport and watch it yourself. Time to look at things rugby, and I'm pleased to say Dave Christian joins us in the studio. Dave, a very good evening. Let's have a look at Regional 2 Northwest first, and Douglas against Birkenhead Park.
Yeah, Douglas are in a good position. It could be better. They could be top of their table like they were at the end of October. They've had a disastrous run. Things seem to be getting back on track now, and the results last weekend went in their favour. I mean, if Carlsberg did a results schedule for last week, it would have been the one they got. Douglas won with a bonus point, with a bit of doggedness on the away trip, and the chasing pack all slipped up, so Douglas now have a 6-point cushion now from their 4th place. The top 4, of course, are going to play off at the end of the regular season for the promotion places, so as long as Douglas are in the promotion places, they've got a reasonable chance. Yes, Sandbach and North Ribblesdale and Vale of Loon are going to be strong, particularly if they play them away. But I don't think that's going to be an issue for them. This weekend, they've got Birkenhead Park. Park haven't been going so brilliantly. The historic record suggests that Douglas are at a slight disadvantage. I think they've played 11 times. It's 7-3 with one draw in there. But, I say a big but, Douglas won away at Birkenhead Park with a bonus point earlier this season. That's going to be in the players' minds. And they know that if they can... I mean, they're the only game this weekend in this league. They've brought their game forward a week. Presumably, I think that's related to travel arrangements. But the game's come forward. They're the only team playing. If they can get 5 points in the bag this weekend, it just sets a measure down for the others. They'll all have a game in hand, but games in hand are only useful if you win them. and the pressure suddenly turns the other way. Douglas got points in the bank, and the games in hand suddenly become a game that we must win rather than an opportunity or maybe a chance to steal a march. So Douglas with a 5-pointer tomorrow could go as high as second, but obviously that may be temporary because we've got more games coming tomorrow. And again, the Chasing Pack, I think Widnes are playing, off the top of my head, Widnes I think are playing Sandbach. So that could be close as well. Widnes are in the Chasing Pack, Sandbach currently occupying the promotional places. Douglas pretty much unchanged from last week. A couple of changes. I see Mark Oldfield, who started on the bench last week. Mark's going to come into the second row to partner Connor Garland. And his place on the bench looks like it's taken by Ethan Kermode, who's been out with a bit of an injury. Everything's worked well for them. Harry Wallace is going to continue at scrum half, so there's no place there for Nathan Robson. And the wings have got the Martin brothers, Craig Martin and Carl Martin. They are lightning fast out there in the wide open spaces. I suspect, though, this game's probably going to be won and lost in the forwards. She's going to be a bit soft down there at Portishead, yes, sir, I would think. There's been a bit of dampness in the week, and that a place gets a bit spongy when it's had a bit of rain on it. So I suspect a forward battle, and with the pack they've picked, I think they've got a reasonable chance of getting something out of this.
I think any pitches are going to be wet. The amount of rain we've had this week here on the island. But so that's at Regional 2 Northwest. That's Douglas against Birkenhead. That's at Portishead, like Dave said. So that's a 2 o'clock kickoff. The game you're going to cover for us is in the women's NC2 North, and that's Vagabonds against Crewe Nantwich.
Yeah, Vagabonds have been away for their opening matches in 2026. This is their first home one in the new year, so I can't not go and see it, really. The girls have been in reasonable form. They're just outside the promotion places, though, but a 5-pointer against Crewe Nantwich will put them close to the mix. But Sale FC is 1871 seconds to give them their full title. I think are in danger of running away with this league. Winnington Park are a close second, but I watched Winnington Park play Vagabonds at Ballyfletcher, and they didn't impress me that much. Macclesfield currently in third. I think Macclesfield are playing one of the top two on Sunday, and Vagabonds could quite steal a march on them there. I think if the results go their way and a win against Crewe and Nantwich, they'll be close. The team will be missing their star player. I don't want to say star player because that really makes it sound like the others aren't the stars. They are the stars. The probably arguably their best player, Malin Campbell. Been watching her holiday videos on Facebook. She's off in Australia at the moment, so they won't be with Malin Campbell, but Greba Tazier has settled into the back row, and she's more than ample replacement for Malin. She's great to carry the ball, difficult to put down, and I think if at home they should have the availability of maybe a couple of the players who don't travel regular. Jules Harrison in particular is one that catches the eye. She's a great straight runner with the ball. The backline have been going really well. Sammy McDonald celebrated her 50th birthday and is now leading the side out from scrum half. So it doesn't matter age, it's just a number, I think, for Sammy. She'll be out there tomorrow. Rest of the girls going well. Meg Kerwin has been a bit of a star for them. I think she scored in the away game, I think 2 tries at Crewe and Nantwich, where they wrecked up a big win. So I suspect we're going to see a Vagabonds win, but fingers crossed for that. I've got no team news just yet out of Ballyfletcher. Hopefully we'll have some ahead of kick-off tomorrow.
I'm just looking at Vagabonds' social media, and there is no team news for the ladies, but there is for the men's game, which is the next one we're going to look at, and that's in the Hartford Homes Manx Cup, and that's Southern Nomads against Vagabonds. This is going to be played at Ballakillia Park, 2 o'clock kick-off.
Yeah, the Manx Cup always seems to change its format each year. We've got this format now. It's going to be 4 teams in it. Douglas Celts will be playing rather than Douglas, but it'll be Ramsey, Vagabonds and Southern Nomads. Each team will play each other once, and then the top 2 will play off for the Manx Cup final, which I think is scheduled to be back must be the first weekend in May, I think. On form, neither side have been doing really well, to be honest. Southern Nomads aren't leading the way in the Hartford Homes Manx Shield. Vagabonds are down in the doldrums in Counties 3 ADM. In fact, the only team with a worse record is Ramsey. But Vagas have got a lot of promise there. And as we know, there's been a bit of rain this week. There's going to be some moisture in that pitch. And the one thing that Vagabonds side can do is scrummage. They are really powerful in the set piece. If it's windy, bit of rain, the ball's wet, there's going to be a lot of scrummages because there's going to be a lot of drop balls. I don't say that as a slight against the players' skills, but it's a simple fact that at this level of rugby, we're going to have a lot of scrums. Looking at the Vagabonds team, I don't see anything there that is causing me any concerns. Everybody out there who's playing is what I'd expect them to put out. I'm not seeing Daniel Bomwick, however, and I wonder, is he carrying an injury? He's been out for a little while, and the last home game I covered for Saturday Live, Bomwick was due to play, and I think he got injured in the warm-up. So it remains to be seen. I haven't heard why he's out, but that Vagabonds front row is going to be reasonably strong. The one player they're probably missing is Joe Lowe. He's on holiday in South Africa, but I think even without Joe, we've seen a couple of the Vagabonds lads in action for Western Vikings a couple of weeks ago against Southern Nomads in the Hartford Homes Manx Shield, and the Nomad scrum was under a lot of pressure. Their backline got them out of jail. I think, despite the talent in the Nomads backline, the Crane brothers, Finn McGregor, the captain, Harry Burton, the veteran, and we've also got Mark Young at standoff. Those guys are competent players, extremely competent players, and they threw the ball around really well against Western Vikings. But I suspect they're going to be on the back foot a little bit more tomorrow, and I think we should see a Vagabonds win.
So that's our fixtures for this week. It's in the Regional 2 Northwest. You've got Douglas against Birkenhead. That's at Portashee, 2 o'clock. Women NC2 North-South. Vagabonds welcome Crewe Nantwich. That's at Ballyfletcher. A 1:30 kickoff there. And then in the Hartford Homes Manx Cup, it's Southern Nomads v Vagabonds. That's at Birkenhead Park at 2 o'clock. Now, looking at the weather, we've been talking about it with the football, and you've mentioned about the pitches and rugby being soft. Can that play a big part in the game?
Yeah, definitely. You've got the difficulties. I mean, I guess in rugby, you don't have to dribble the ball like you would do in a game of football. It's unlikely that you're going to be throwing a pass that's going to bounce. So that ball on the ground thing doesn't really come into it too much, but you're going to look at players potentially losing their foot in the set piece scrummage, which we're going to see a lot of. I suspect is going to be tricky underfoot. If somebody gets an advantage, the scrum can easily collapse. Players are slipping. Wind and rain will play its part, but I think the pitches will all hold up. They always do. We're not required to have the ball running across them like you would do in a game of football, so it doesn't matter too much. I think, if anything, the games at Portashee and Ballyfletcher will have to take place because the visiting teams are going to be travelling. If a pitch is looking a bit soft, it could be one at Southern Nomads, but I think Nomads will go ahead and play that anyway. They've got 2 pitches down there. They can afford to play one in slightly iffy conditions. It's not going to make too much difference for them. And if you get a bit of while the ground's still soft, if you can get a roller onto it afterwards, it'll flatten out all the lumps and bumps anyway. So we don't have quite the same concerns with pitches that you would do for, say, football or hockey.
Absolutely, Dave. Well, thank you very much. We will hear from you tomorrow afternoon on Saturday Live. Dave will be at the Vagabonds against Crewe and Nantwich at Ballyfletcher. Coming up after this break, back to league action in hockey.
Manx Radio Sports, brought to you by The Print Shed. Visit theprintshediom.com today to set up your personalised web shop for your sports club or business.
The 90s playlist is packed full of hits from the decade that had us raving to this.
I like to move it.
Chilling to this. And partying to this. And if that's your kind of vibe, then you'll want to turn on, tune in and cop out with the 90s playlist, hosted by me, Nicola Holt, every Saturday night from 10, only on Manx Radio.
At NFU Mutual, we have real conversations with our customers and know they prefer car insurance they can rely on. Unlike some insurers, we don't charge admin fees for making changes to your policy. With NFU Mutual, your no-claims discount is protected if you're hit by an at-fault uninsured driver. Conditions apply. We also include RAC breakdown cover as standard. If you break down more than a quarter of a mile from home and your car can't be fixed at the roadside, they'll take you to a garage or preferred destination within 20 miles. It's one of the reasons we've been named a Which Best Buy for car insurance, January 2026. For quality car insurance, call 674 191.
At Holmes & Davidson Opticians in Douglas, we see more, so you can too. Our advanced eye examinations go beyond the standard checkup, using state-of-the-art Heidelberg 4D retinal imaging and IDON ultrawide field technology to detect early signs of eye disease before symptoms even appear. We're the Isle of Man's trusted experts in eye health because your vision deserves more than average. Book your advanced eye exam today at Holmes & Davidson Douglas. Clarity, care, cutting-edge technology.
Me and you, we're gonna get along just fine. Why, you ask? Because, like us, you don't sit around waiting for things to happen. You make it happen. At Orchard Recruitment, our calling is to help you find yours. We take the time to understand you, your interests, skills, goals, and aspirations, and find opportunities that's so perfect, it'll feel like you found the one. In a strictly professional sense, of course. Get going at orchardrecruitment.com. Orchard Recruitment, a refreshing change.
A big thank you to your workmen. They've done a very good job. My property looks like new again. Thank you, EPS.
We're delighted with the house. Your employees obviously take great pride in their work.
The work was done promptly, professionally and considerately.
EPS, transforming properties island-wide with the revolutionary Protex wall covering system. Guaranteed for 10 years. Call 627 191 and book now for spring and get 10% off.
A good job. Well done.
Manx Radio Sports, brought to you by the Print Shed.
(22:06) here on Friday Sport Preview, and finally we will look at hockey. But before we look at this weekend's fixtures, we must give the Ireland junior teams a big shout out who were away last weekend competing in the England Hockey Junior Championships. And it was a successful weekend for the Isle of Man teams. 4 squads went away and 3 wins for the Isle of Man. The Isle of Man under-14s boys were playing D-side, and that was a 1-1 draw, but the Manx side took the victory on penalty shuffles there. Carter Neal with the goal for the Isle of Man side. The under-14s girls took on Leek in their game, and that was a 4-2 win to the Isle of Man. Goal scorers were Grace Evans with 2 goals, Bonnie Ellison with 1, and Sienna Curfey with 1. The under-16 boys, though, sadly didn't go their way. The Isle of Man suffered a 4-1 defeat to D-side here. The goal scorer for the under-16 boys was Cal Joyce. The under-18 girls, though, had a fantastic performance against Chorley and Phoenix. They came away with a 6-0 win in that game, and there was goals scored for Summer Craig with 2, Emma Worsfer with 2, Isla Kane with 1, and Lucy Cartwright with 1. If you want to have a recap of all the Ireland junior fixtures and results, they are on the Manx Radio website in the Manx Radio Sport Hub. Let's have a look at this weekend's fixtures, and it's back to league action after last week's cup action in Manx hockey. Looking at the Ladies Premier League, the first game of the day is a Southern derby between Castletown B and Castletown A. You would favour the A team to come out on top on this one, but I'm sure the B team will give the A team a good run for their money. This is the second Castletown derby in the space of 2 weeks for this club and these two sides. At 2:05 at King William's College, we see Valkyries A against Backers A. Now, these two met in the cup last weekend, and it was a 2-2 draw, which went to flicks, and Valkyries did take the win. Will we have another close game like that this weekend? The final fixture in the Ladies Premier League sees Vikings A take on Harlequins A at the NSC at 2:05. These two sides looking really good so far this season, and this could be a very close game for sure. In the Men's Premier League, Harlequins A take on Vikings B at the NSC at 12:05. Vikings B desperately looking for their first win and point of the season. Harlequins A, though, looking to continue their good run of form. Another team to keep it, who'll be wanting to keep their good run of form up, is Vikings A. Okay, they have just conceded their first loss of the season to Backers A, but they will be playing Castletown A this weekend. And I'm sure Castletown A will be wanting to give Vikings a good game there. That game is at Castle Rushen High School at 2:05. And then Valkyries A take on Backers A. These two met last weekend in the Cup, and there was 12 goals scored in this game. And Backers coming away with an 8-4 win. So will we have goals galore again this weekend? That game is at QE2 at 2:05. Ladies Division 1, though, it's a very close affair in the fixtures this weekend. Top of the table, Ramsey A take on another league contenders, Backers B at Ramsey Grammar School at 12:35. The Northerners looking really strong so far, scoring plenty of goals, but I'm sure Backers B will be wanting to maybe cause an upset here and snatch some points or the win away from Ramsey A. Backers C, bottom of the league, take on Valkyries B at King William's College at 12:35. This will be a tough day for Backers C. Valkyries B looking really strong in this league and definitely going to be contesting for that league title. They just missed out last season, and I'm sure this season they will not want to miss out this time around. The final fixture is Vikings B against Castletown C. Now, in my preview on Manx Radio Sport, I have put down Vikings B as being underdogs here because I think they potentially could cause an upset and potentially snatch the title here. They're looking really strong, but they're going very, very quietly around their business, and they're going around and getting a good few results here. So, will Castletown C cause them any hassles? It's going to be a tough ask for Castletown C against a very strong Vikings B side. That game is at Castle Rushen High School at 3:30. Men's Division 1, Castletown B looking for a bit more better run of form, take on in-form Valkyries B. Valkyries B know they need to keep all the pressure on at the top of the league in Men's Division 1 to keep in the running with that battle for that promotion. That is at QE2 at 12:35. Backers B, though, take on Ramsey A. This game is at QE2 at 3:35. This one I have got down as game of the day. Two real big contenders here for the Men's Division 1 title. Of course, Backers B, top of the league. Ramsey A, second, but only on goal difference in this league. Final fixture in Men's Division 1 sees Harlequins B take on Valkyries C at King William's College at 3:30. Harlequins B, like Castletown B, still looking for their first wins of the season. Valkyries C, though, just the one victory so far, and potentially it could be a very evenly matched game, this game. But what sides will both sides get out on the day? We wait and see what happens tomorrow, and the results on full time tomorrow between 4 and 6. Ladies Division 2, Valkyries C take on Castletown D at 11:05 at QE2. This one, a very close affair between the top two in this league. Valkyries C just sitting top so far going into this weekend. Another very close game on the cards as well at Ramsey Grammar School at 2:05 between Valkyries B and Ramsey B. Harlequins B and Ramsey B. These two sides very evenly matched and could make a very good, tasty contest. Men's Division 2, these two sides in Men's Division 2 met last weekend in the men's plate, and Harlequins C came away with the victory over Castletown C. They meet again this week at Castle Rushen High School at 11:05. Which side will come out on top this weekend? The top of the table clash in Men's Division 2 at 11:05 at the NSC is between Vikings C and Backers C. Backers C just sitting top in this one. And then Ramsey B take on Backers Colts at Ramsey Grammar School at 3:30. Again, another game that could be very close on the cards. Finally, in the mixed under-15s league, we've got Harlequins against Vikings at the NSC at 3:35 and Castletown Savers against Valkyries. That is at 5:05 at King William's College. That is everything here on on Friday Sport. Thank you as always for your company. Chris Kinley follows us next. He'll be jumping in with Howard and Kane, and then Rhiannon Evans follows you after that. Have a great evening.
Manx Radio Sports, brought to you by The Print Shed. Visit theprintshediom.com today to set up your personalised web shop for your sports club or business.